When did Biden actually visit Ground Zero?
He went 9 days after the attack, Brianna, September 20th, 2001, when he went with a bipartisan delegation of senators. I asked the White House last night about this claim. They provided a photo of him there on September 20th, reiterated that he was there that day. I think some people might say, oh, okay, he was there.
It's just days, a matter of days.
9 days later, maybe he forgot, and maybe he forgot. But look, it's 9/11. It's sensitive. He's speaking to military and first responders, so I think the facts matter.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So obviously Joe Biden is in the news constantly, but it is literally like never for the right reason. It absolutely blows my mind that there are still people so unashamed, so in the tank for partisan politics that they continue to support the guy no matter what. And look, I get what the whole impeachment and bribery thing, Democrat folks especially and folks left of center, they want to see more concrete evidence before they finally wise up. I get that. But wanting to see something concrete is not the same thing as outright denying and ignoring emails, phone calls, text messages, 17 million bucks funneled to minor children, members of the family through shady offshore tax sheltering accounts. How can they not even be curious if it is true? The act of bribery alone fulfills the constitutional requirement for Congress to impeach the guy if it's true. But the fact that they don't even want to question whether it's true tells me that they know that it's true. They believe that it's true because they don't try to explain it. They just ignore it. It's all fake news. It's all, in Hillary Clinton's best draw, a right-wing conspiracy. But anyway, this video is not even about that. I just am rambling and I'm sorry. And what I want to talk about is how can anyone so full-throatedly support a guy who checks his watch as a soldier he sent to death is carried by, who likens 115 dead Hawaiian citizens of his country, his citizens, to his very, very minor and probably didn't even happen kitchen fire. Who tells Gold Star parents that he lost a son in a war just like them and he feels their pain? This is insanity. This is not the mark of a good and moral, decent human. This really is the behavior of exactly the kind of person that they told us that Donald Trump is. And it really proves to me that these people are complete and total frauds. Because like I said, these are the same people that almost lost their minds when Trump called Rosie O'Donnell a pig, among other very, very hilarious moments. And now they're refusing to call this guy out, even as he desecrates the memory of nearly 3,000 Americans who lost their lives on September 11th. On the anniversary of the most terrible national tragedy in generations. Instead of paying his respects, the guy spent the hours leading up to it praising the Communist Viet Cong, for one, paying homage to John McCain, which is cool, his memorial in Hanoi, and hanging out the G20 with the Saudis, who were allegedly, and secretly, thanks to our government, funding the 9/11 hijackers. And then, when he finally made an appearance at a military base, he started his September 11th remarks with a joke. I mean, really, man. How did we ever find a guy? How is it even possible to be a guy that has such a talent for always doing and saying the exact freaking wrong thing?
Governor Dunleavy, it's good to see you. Governor and I have something in common. We're both from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I wish I had him playing in my high school ball club when I was playing. But I could have been an All-American. Have you?
So yeah, man, Joe Biden making a joke about playing football. And I get it must seem trivial, especially to the people who really, really love the guy, but it's just a small part of a larger pattern for this guy. And for example, lying about his actions following the 9/11 attacks, lying to his mushy-brained 37%ers about visiting Ground Zero the day after. How do you hear these things and not even think about questioning the man's integrity or whether he's even fit to lead the country, especially given all the other allegations, all the other, supposed misconduct that have been leveled against the guy, all these issues, allegations of bribery in Ukraine to lies about his action, they all contribute to a growing sense of mistrust and dissatisfaction with his leadership, man. And it's crazy. It's the Democrats' own fault. When he plagiarized speeches, no accountability. When he lied about marching in Selma, when in fact he was one of the last segregationists alive, total crickets. They bred this man. They allowed this man. They always chalked it up to the same old thing. It's just Joe being Joe.
to renew our sacred vow. Never forget. Never forget. We never forget. Each of us, each of those precious lives stolen too soon when evil attacked. Ground Zero in New York. And I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating because from where you could stand.
Why would the President of the United States, who told us repeatedly what an awful liar Donald Trump was, why would he lie to us about something significant as 9/11? You know, C-SPAN clips, they show that Joe Biden spent September 11, 2001 in a secure bunker and even talked about it himself, just like all of his other attention-seeking fellow senators did on the floor of the Senate the very, very next day. September 12th, he was not, well, maybe he was in the gates of hell. No, maybe he was right. He was looking through the gates of hell, but it's in the Senate. Senate probably is the gates of hell.
On the part of those who are not often thought of as our allies, to resolve with us to fight worldwide terrorism. But I think it's a reflection of the reality that the world has changed in a way that we all are vulnerable. A further reality that no one could have undertaken this very, very well-planned and regretfully well-executed terrorist act without an extensive network, without a place in which to plan it that was within earshot and eyesight of some country, some people who obviously by their inaction at a minimum and their complicity allowed this to occur.
Google just a tiny bit more, and you'll find that Kamala Harris was supposedly with her then ex-boyfriend, or then boyfriend, Montel Williams. And guess where the dishonorable, selfish, abhorrent human Donald Trump was? Well, according to reports, he was actively participating in the rescue efforts at Ground Zero or near Ground Zero. And that right there really should tell us all everything we really need to know. The horrible, evil, despicable Donald Trump was actually there, yet never talks about it, never gloats about it. And the honorable example of all that is good and decent in the world, Joe Biden, well, he lies about being there. And it's not the first time. You know, he claimed to have seen a fireball at the Pentagon from the United States Capitol, which anyone who's ever been there is just not possible. But, you know, the problem is when the propagandized victims of these people, when they hear these things, when they hear Joe being Joe, they question his memory instead of his motives. But anyway, man, as if that stuff wasn't concerning enough, when reporters asked why the president was not visiting any attack sites, the response from the White House was one that any sane and decent person would freaking lose their minds.
Well, our focus the last couple days has been on President Biden here in South Asia. And when I asked a White House official why it is that President Biden was here and missing the 9/11 commemorations at the attack sites, the analogy that I was given is that 22 years after Pearl Harbor, U.S. presidents were not still going to visit Hawaii.
Can you guys freaking believe that? Their response is, why should we jump on a 90-minute helicopter ride to show some solidarity and pay our respects? Kenny didn't go to Hawaii, you dumbass. That's sick. That just, it's audacious. It's sick. It's tone deaf. It's detached. You know, they have no respect. They do not care for either the moment or for its place in history. And, you know, if they don't, well, then they should stop invoking these moments just every time it suits their purposes. You know, equating the events of Pearl Harbor and 9/11 with January 6th, for example. You know, it's not only supremely historically inaccurate, but also destroys the gravity of, you know, the memories of those attacks and the very, very many lives that were lost. You know, and I'm tired of these people, man. I really, it's not so much them, but it's the dyed-in-the-wool, in-the-tank, forever changed, manipulated by propaganda citizens that we see, you know, this kind of stuff. And then they see this kind of stuff and they just aren't moved. It doesn't matter to them. And but any whisper from Trump. It does. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the one good note about all this is that Kamala Harris finally finds her place on the team. When the White House told her, dude, we forgot to parade the turnip out to a real memorial and we're getting crushed. Can you help? And she's like, yeah, hell yeah, I can help. I can take the heat off. Yeah, I have a great idea. And she goes out there and starts yucking it up and laughing. Literally the only person there not understanding the gravity of the moment. And it's truly amazing, man. I honestly cannot believe that these people are our leaders. What the hell have we done? Anyway, that's just my take, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share the channel. We'll see you in the next one.